Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mitch with SC Weather. Hope y'all been having a great day, a great Tuesday. I'm here to talk about what looks to be a smaller scale severe weather outbreak potentially as we get into tomorrow night. It's not even close to comparable of what it happened the last two outbreaks in the Alabama area and the Deep South. But this does look to be somewhat significant for certain areas, especially Arkansas. And we're going to talk about who could see the worst weather. So if I have any new viewers in the Arkansas area or anybody in the western areas of the Deep South and Mid South, consider subscribing. I talk weather here in the eastern U.S. I'm just a small YouTuber. I know that my setup's probably not quite as appealing as some of these other YouTubers who do weather, but stick with me, guys. My setup will get better here in the next several months as we get closer to the end of the year, especially as we approach hurricane season. So thank y'all for the incredible support. Like the video if y'all do like it, and thank y'all for getting my channel out there. It's a great supporting factor, and your support is definitely appreciated, as I'm definitely kind of living out a mini dream of mine of talking weather to an audience. So thank y'all for tuning in. So let's talk about what we can expect tomorrow. So what we got is, this is the Storm Prediction Center. You got 5 levels. You got level 1 through 5. Level 1's marginal. Level 2's slight. Level 3's enhanced. Level 4's moderate. Level 5 is high. So this is the National Weather Service, the Storm Prediction Center. You can access this online, anywhere on mobile, internet, from your personal computer. So there's a huge area of a slight risk right here. Almost covers the entire state of Arkansas, about 50% of Louisiana, a good chunk of Mississippi, and even portions of Alabama. So basically, all severe weather threats are on the board. I would say the tornado threat is a little bit lower than probably the other threats, but there's still a threat for sure. We're going to kind of be looking out for individual cells, but really we're going to look to see if this is going to merge into more of a line of intense storms that really can turn into a damaging wind threat. But the tornado threat's a 5% in the huge area. The wind threat is a 15%. It's tilted a little bit more to the east, as it has the complex of storms that's going to form along this low-level jet is going to have a chance to really merge into a big-time line of storms as it gets into Mississippi and even Alabama overnight tomorrow. Hail threat, 15% chance, especially where isolated discrete cells can form, supercells can form. I really do think this has a chance to elevate and get bumped up to a level 3 enhanced risk, especially for Arkansas. This area kind of in here definitely has a chance to get bumped up as we get into the day 1 outlook, which basically will be into tomorrow. So we'll see if that gets upgraded as we're going forward. But what we got here is this is the HRRR model. I'm going to try to make this a little bit smaller. I always forget to do this before the video starts. I'm in a little bit bigger. But here we go. This is the latest long-range HRRR model. So as we're going into time, we're getting into overnight. We're getting into Wednesday morning. Notice there's some convection, especially in the northern end of this severe weather area that they're calling for. Look at the cold core back here pumping out like an upper level low, a closed off low, pumping out some heavy snow. And I wouldn't be surprised this verifies at all. That is some very heavy snow associated with the actual upper level low, or closed off low, if you will, or cut off low, bringing its own cold air. It's when you get these systems, they tend to bring cold air at all layers of the atmosphere. So what that means is it can puke snow at 38 degrees if the precipitation is heavier enough. And that's kind of going to be over here as you get the colder side of the storm. But the warmer side of the storm, one thing I want to talk about is there's a potential for a lot of cloud cover, a lot of moisture kind of already in the morning hours tomorrow. So that may help to more stabilize the atmosphere. And seeing how much it can recover, I think, is going to be huge with this system as we're getting deeper into tomorrow afternoon. But look at the storms fire up very quick, and kind of in this range right here. So this would be their time probably, early afternoon hours, give or take, as early as 1 p.m. to as late as 3 p.m. There's going to be a brief window where some isolated discrete cells can fire up. I think that's where your tornado threat's going to lie. It's where your big-time hail threat's going to lie. And this is a nasty little line of storms, not little, big line of storms forming in the stretching all the way from both ends of the Missouri state line. And down here is when the tornado threat starts to get ramped up. I don't see much of a threat for discrete cells. I do think they have a chance to pop off, especially ahead of the main line of energy. But where they do pop up, and even if they're in basically a big mess of convection, these can be rain-wrapped tornadoes. I always fear for these. You notice that it's just a big chunk of moisture, and I'll make a little bit clearer of a view area of Arkansas here a little bit later in the video if you're from Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Missouri, things like that. But that is a big area of concern right here. And you notice you going through time, like a lot of systems do, a lot of severe weather systems do. They tend to go to more of a tornado threat to all of a sudden more of a straight line wind threat as the system goes linear. So as you get into the overnight hours, it really can be some nasty weather getting into western areas of Tennessee, getting into Mississippi, getting to Louisiana, and even it's late night all the way into the Alabama area. We'll see how this complex line of storms they hold together. You go all the way through time, and I think some moisture has a chance to make it all the way into Georgia and maybe even the Carolinas. And there might be some storm development as we get into Thursday afternoon for the Carolinas. We'll have to watch to see how much juice this has left. It's not going to be much forcing because the upper level low, the low pressure really begins to kind of spin and kind of get merged back in with the jet stream, and it doesn't tilt down here. It doesn't come down here and to give us a low level jet. It doesn't do anything like that. So it kind of gets up here, and you just kind of lose the oomph you need for thunderstorm development. You look at got pivotal weather here. Bear with me because this site can be very, very annoying. You're going through here. This is basically bulk shear. So you're going through here in time right here, and notice a strengthening low-level jet really gets going here. And here I got it in motion now. Here you go. You see there in Arkansas, you got it at 54, 50, over 60 knots. Screaming here. You got some big-time shear. So it's going to be a little bit of spin in the atmosphere, but you're really missing some key ingredients for tornado development. There's not enough basically the kind of the low level shear basically isn't there, but there is enough misdirection in the atmosphere to cause a little bit of spin for some of these storms to really fire up some tornadoes. But we'll see. I don't expect a tornado outbreak or anything, but you look right here. There's going to be enough CAPE. There's going to be enough energy to really get these storms going. You got CAPE from 1,000 to 1,500 joules per kilogram, maybe as much as 2,000, but that's pushing it. So there's going to be a spike in CAPE along this low-level jet that stretches all the way up into Missouri, even parts of Illinois, briefly before more stable air works in behind the low pressure here. And then you look at, I think we got dew points coming up here. All right, take your time. Dew points here surging ahead or right where the low-level jet sets up into the 60s. So notice you don't have dew points in the upper 60s or 70s, kind of like you did with the tornado outbreak that happened in Alabama. So you don't have a lot of moisture working around here in the soundings in the atmosphere. Not quite as much, but it definitely surges ahead, and then here comes that more stable air. I love looking at that. You can obviously tell that this is bringing its own dry air, its own cold air. Just based off, it's not really a front so much, because look at here, it kind of brings its own stable dry air. But look down here in Texas, it's not like it's a front clearing the entire area. This thing begins to meander northeast up here. Therefore, it gives a chance for the Gulf moisture to start building back up here again. If this was to go out like another 48 hours, you would see the dew points begin to rise more north again as you get this. Basically this atmosphere stabilizer on out of here, this low pressure. So you look at the tornado parameter here, it's not super high as you get into tomorrow afternoon, but it's still as much as 3 or 4 at certain points, depending on, it's really the highest here in Arkansas. So it's going to be a brief 3 to 4 hour window, I think, where you can get some tornadic storms, some supercells. So we'll watch that, but I really don't think we have. We're going to have some tornado warnings tomorrow, that's for sure. But I don't think it's definitely not as scary as a threat as it was with Alabama in the last one. But here's a close-up look in Arkansas. Notice here in the morning you have some convection fire up. Will that interfere with basically the mainline energy that fires up here? We're not sure, but check out here as you get a closer look as you get into the early afternoons, mid-afternoons tomorrow. These are the cells you have to watch out for. These little cells right here lining up in a line. And notice how you got a little bit of hook on them right here. These can be kind of hidden and a lot of crappy convection. That's why they can be dangerous. They can be rain wrapped, kind of like the one that hit Alabama. And I think that was kind of the same situation that hit overnight Georgia in that same event a couple weeks ago. So, and then this really turns into just a kind of a line, but there's still some discrete cells in here as you get into later in the evening in Arkansas and then into Tennessee. So I think it's going to be an active day tomorrow for sure. I think it has a chance to get upgraded to an enhanced risk. So I'll have to watch this to see how it unfolds. But definitely be weather aware if you're in Mississippi Valley, Arkansas, Louisiana, Missouri, parts of Texas, Oklahoma, Mississippi, Tennessee, even Alabama. So definitely active day tomorrow. It's April. But after this, we're going to start to talk about something that we're starting to see in the long range that might not be good news for warm weather fans. I'm not talking about any kind of widespread freezes or anything, but it looks like a pattern that could really bring some cooler weather. We kind of might get rid of our 60s or 70s and 80s, but we'll see how this develops and how it affects storms, and we'll move on to that tomorrow. So thank y'all for tuning in, and y'all have a great and safe evening.